Okay, good morning, everybody. How are we all doing today? We almost had some technical difficulties, but I think it should work out all right. Can everybody hear me good? If so, good. So we have a little bit of chatting going on. Ponythroat says he doesn't know this one, but it sounds like a movie score. Yes, it is. That is the Barbarian Horde from Hans Zimmer's theme. I'm sorry, Hans Zimmer's score from Gladiator in 2000. Hans Zimmer is actually a very good composer when he's not just phoning it in with, trombone and French horn fart noises, which he's been doing basically for the past 15 years. But yeah, when he actually can be convinced to try, he is a very good composer, as a matter of fact. But, I digress. Is he my favorite composer in film history? No, he's not. That would be Basil Polidorus. Hans Zimmer is undoubtedly in the top 10, but, lower in the 10. I mean, he's below Polidorus and Alfred Newman and Miklos Rosa and Bernard Herrmann and such. But he's still very good. I play that song for two reasons. One is that there's apparently a Gladiator 2 coming out, and it looks like absolute dog shit. But more to the point, I couldn't really find a song to go with my title story, which we'll just get to right now. The title story is Gee Wally, Let's End Recreational Sex, and apparently that's what some people want. Let's go to the Twitter machine now. I refuse to call it the X machine. I will always do so. Okay, so we've all been hearing about this Project 2025, which is a, far-right conservative plan for what to do if Trump is reelected. It is posited by the Heritage Foundation, which is a not particularly important think tank. And I believe that Trump, to his credit, has actually denounced these weirdos. And yes, I agree that he should, because a direct tweet from the Heritage Foundation, it seems to me that a good place to start would be a feminist movement against the pill, and for returning the consequentiality to sex. Sorry, my microphone was falling a bit. Conservatives must lead the way in restoring sex to its true purpose, ending recreational sex and senseless use of birth control pills. Campaign on making sex purely for procreation in the missionary position. That'll go over great. I mean, look, I on the one hand, like on a personal level, part of me is like, yeah, too many people are, bumping uglies, having loser, brappy kids that they're not going to raise, and that's a problem. But at the same time, it's like fundamentally, you can't make sex like non-recreational. That's stupid, and you should feel bad. I mean, there is a certain type of right winger who is just very anti-sex because they're not good at it. These are the religious guys who say, "Well, women don't really enjoy sex." Yeah, they do actually. They just don't enjoy it with you, sir. And obviously, not every like right wingers like that. Like the Chad Thundercock football captain probably doesn't think that because he, for all his many faults, probably is capable of sexually satisfying a woman. But the dad bod lay preacher type sure as shit can't, which is why they're against the whole idea of recreational sexy times. But yeah, this is not a good platform to run on. And again, Trump, to his credit, is against the whole thing because Trump is not adverse to sleeping with various hooers in his life. But, and, I say this as somebody who's like, maybe we should pay brappies to like get sterilized so they don't produce more brappy loser children that are going to be breaking into my car and robbing my house. And frankly, I think that would be a win-win. Then they could have all the recreational sex they want without the fear of procreation. It's a win-win-win. Okay. Ponythroat says, is it related to the new Gladiator movie, Gladiator 2? Maximus is still dead. Yeah, I don't know what the second Gladiator movie is going to be about, nor do I particularly care. I mean, I guess you could say Pedro Pascal there looks vaguely like, Maximus Decidius Marasmus, but it's not him. All in all, as we'll discuss later on when we get to the pop culture side of things, I feel like They really should have gone with Nick Cave's idea for the Gladiator 2 script, which, we'll get to later. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, Tony Gilbert says, I like Randy Newman. It's like one big song. They all sound the same. Yeah, yeah, Alfred Newman is Randy's father. I mean, Randy Newman is, again, a guy who, is good when he tries, but he just rarely does. There's a lot of Hollywood performers and personalities who I can say that about. I've said that about Adam Sandler's acting many times. When he wants to be, he can be a very good actor. He just very rarely is, or very rarely gives a shit. I like, say what you will about the Nostalgia Critic. I do like his kind of unending hatred of Randy Newman, where it's like he imitates Randy Newman. It's just like him playing like 3 chords on the piano. I'm Randy. In serious news, Tony Gilbert says, oh no, not a think tank. Biff Slankovich, referring to the Project 2025 people, says dumber than dirt and more something Trump. I can't, there's this stupid, give me a second, I'm going to put something in the chat and see what he's saying. And more under Trump. Yes. But yeah, ending recreational sex is a bad idea. It's not going to go over well. I've said it before and I'll say it again. American culture has and always has been, is and always has been, a tug of war between the best and the worst people in the world. On the one hand, you have the pioneers, brave soldiers, innovators, explorers, dreamers. And on the other side, you have schoolmarms and brappies and moralizing pains in the ass who want to ruin everybody's fun. And yeah, I'll specify, I am very much libertarian, and I emphasize small L libertarian on most things. Which is to say, do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting somebody else. That's basically my rule in life, and it'll get you pretty far. Of course, on a personal level, I mean, it'll get you far. It'll make you much calmer and much less stressed out in life. Which you can't really say about the actual Libertarian Party USA, which is a party that almost seems to want to fail. But yeah, like on a personal level, I'm like, yeah, consequences should have actions. But on the other side, I don't like the idea of forcing people into it. It is very much a seesaw of opinions. Hey, Biff Slinkovich says Adam's the best. Adam who, sir? Ponythroat says think tanks have poor armor and minimal firepower, and the power to ton ratio is terrible. 210, we're not going to battle in. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think the Bob Semple tank would be a better tank to drive than a think tank. But seriously, who the hell even is the Heritage Foundation? Like, are they particularly large? I don't think so. Like, I mean, are these people really anything other than just a bunch of cretins and sexless weenies coming up with some stupid utopian, in their eyes, plan for what to do in the future? If so, why should we give a shit about these people? Let's look at the Heritage Foundation. Hey, let's see. They have so they have about 702,000 Twitter followers, which is not particularly big. I say as if I don't have only 250. Of course, they have a picture of Saint Reagan on their Twitter banner because, of course, they do. But like, I don't know. I've never heard of these people. They're not like the National Review or some like, big name conservative thing. I would keep an eye on them, but honestly, I don't really care that much. Because, again, there's a million loser think tanks in the world, and they don't amount to anything. So I got some comments here. Shinseki Evan says, what's their next recommendation? All restaurants are Taco Bells with 3 seashells? Perhaps. It's kind of funny how like extreme left-wingers and extreme right-wingers all kind of converge into a world of just endless suckitude. Oh, let the people have fun as long as they're not bothering anybody. I don't know. I will never understand this desire to just be a moralizing pawn and just try to dictate what people do in their bedrooms or their kitchens or their libraries or whatever. I know. I don't have that in me. Just be a finger waving, fagaloon and just lecture people on like the right way to live. Like, I don't have that. I will never have that, and I don't understand that. We need more of the non-shitty versions of America, and less of the shitty version. And speaking of non-shitty America, something positive did actually happen in the government news, believe it or not. Okay, federal judge finds that Americans have a constitutional right to distill moonshine in their bathtub. Well, some connoisseurs might say that if it's legal, it isn't true moonshine. Well, screw it. You know what? I should be able to distill any goddamn alcohol I want in my bathtub or my backyard or my toilet or anything else. And the fact that that wasn't legal is offensive to me. At least some good came of this. Now, in my labors at the museum, I did actually learn how to distill alcohol, but it's more of the sense of like, methanol, like burning alcohol, not necessarily drinking alcohol. It's a little bit different, I'm told. But I do know the basics of setting up a still, in case anybody wants some Larsen shine. Probably not. But yeah, it's kind of amazing this was never technically legal because, taxes or some such. It's probably taxes. It's usually taxes when some moralizing pain in the ass wants to dictate what people do. But yeah, I'm all for this. And I'll be right back. I'm going to start distilling some whiskey in my bathtub. Okay. Tony Gilbert says there's a lot of Rudy Poos running around D.C. nowadays. Couldn't even eat to work because of that damn conference. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Ponythroat says this has strong psyop to me. Psyop vibes to me anyway. Please don't vote for Trump. He wants to ban orgasm and force you to dress like the American Gothic couple. Tony Gilbert says, man, the 3 seashells, I gotta watch that again. Biff Slankovich says, dim sum and Larsen, like baseball and Ballantine. I can barely hear you over the dim din. Well, I would say maybe you should not be listening to me in a restaurant, sir. Ponythroat says, all alcohol is drinking alcohol if you're Irish enough. Yeah, well said. Tony Gilbert says, it should be, but let's not forget this is the same stuff that literally poisoned people in the 20s and 30s. Yeah, well, again, here's like the part of me which is like mostly libertarian, which is like saying, caveat emptor. I mean, if it is going to, if it's gonna be legal and you can like market it, I guess you should like be able to sell it and have some kind of FDA regulation on it. But again, I feel like if Cletus's still is blinding people, the word will get out pretty fast. But that's just me. I'm gonna have to make some booze myself. So yeah, for once, a federal judge actually gave people more freedom than instead of taking it away, and that's nice. But let's leave behind the wacky world of Appalachia for a second, and let's talk about some high culture, sort of. At the Guggenheim Museum in New York City, the lady who is the curator, she claims to be the first black curator. She's actually not. She's the first black lady curator. She apparently had some kind of insane public meltdown, including doxing random Twitter users because apparently she got mad at some film bro on Twitter. Okay, so at the IFC Theater in New York City, Miami Vice, the remake with Jamie Foxx and Colin Farrell in 2006, was screening. Okay, so the Guggenheim curator made fun of a heterosexual white man for showing the movie to his girlfriend. Film Twitter defended him because apparently people say that movie doesn't suck now. It totally does. I saw it in theaters. I saw half of it in theaters and I walked out because it was that bad. So yeah, people were arguing with this woman over the Miami Vice movie. And like I don't know, she was like losing her shit about it. I don't I'm trying to figure out what exactly happened here. But yeah, this is the Guggenheim is clearly not hiring the best people anymore. And to think that all this happened over the Miami Vice remake. Yeah, Michael Mann's god awful Miami Vice remake from 2006. Like, Jesus Christ, like, you're defending that crap? I mean, usually I like Michael Mann. You know, I like Manhunter, Last of the Mohicans, Heat, but yeah, that Miami Vice movie was ass. Yes, thank you, Tony Gilbert. Yeah, Jamie Foxx could not save it. He sure shit couldn't. Yeah, I don't know. Like, when did people start defending the Miami Vice movie? Sure as hell weren't defending it when I saw it. Okay. I don't know, I'm trying to find like the original tweets about this woman who like lost her shit over it. But yeah, apparently she's no longer the Guggenheim curator, probably because of her insane Twitter meltdown. Tony Gilbert says the government literally poisoned alcohol to kill people in Prohibition. Yes, that's a problem. I know the moralizing douchebag urge is always there. Frankly, I say if people are stupid enough to drink wood alcohol, just let them do it. Extreme D agrees with me and Tony. That movie was ass. I couldn't even finish it. Yeah, you and me both. And I still have never seen the end of the Miami Vice movie. Tony Gilbert says a curator's job is to talk about the museum. Also to set up museum exhibits and do business with, Parks and Recreation people, private, charity firms, etc., etc. Not talk about movies. What a maroon. Yeah, apparently I missed something. I'm only getting little bits and pieces of what happened, but it sounded pretty bad. Ponythroat says, wonder if Amazon searches for 100 pounds of yeast and copper line went up. I only ever worked with glass stills. I mean, you get pretty small amounts of alcohol, but it does burn. It burned red, though, my corn ethanol that I was demonstrating for the kids at the museum. Not necessarily, I know it has to burn blue to be drinkable, or so I'm told. But, yeah. All right, so let's leave America's ongoing decline into insanity behind. And let's go to Sweden. Speaking of countries that are going insane, in Sweden, a Swedish judge ruled that it is inhuman to deport a bunch of Somalian rapists because they risk being punished back home. I'm sorry, they're Ethiopian. They were convicted of a brutal gang rape. They can't be deported because they are military deserters and they would risk being executed by their governments. So, guess we just gotta let them stay in Stockholm, man. I know, I don't understand this logic, this like pathological altruism some people have. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, things are marginally better here in this country in that, like, we deport people and then they come back and just commit crimes again. It's a stupid opinion and you should feel bad, Sweden. All right, so I'll just tell you now, I don't have a huge amount of things to talk about today, but we still have some real news to discuss. So let's just keep at it. But yes, this is not good. Hey. Tony Gilbert says if you're making booze, you need copper for it. Also, he says they're rapists, they gotta go, period. As you commit a crime, you're not a refugee anymore. Yes, I agree. I have this ridiculous notion that, like, a country's government should be predominantly working for the citizenry, not, people who are not citizens. But apparently, I'm alone in this thinking. Shinseki Evan asked, was it a female judge? I don't know. It didn't really say. I mean, could be a female judge, could be an emasculated male judge. Who knows? Let's shake our heads at the state of things and we'll move on. Okay. Let's go back to the United States now, academia, which is, of course, hand in hand with the government. Okay, so Duke Medical School claims that timeliness and individualism are part of, and I quote, white supremacy culture. So being timely and having individual, ambitions is apparently white supremacist. I don't understand the logic behind this. Like, let's take everything that's good that a sensible person would do and label it as whiteness. I mean, of course, there's that famous thing from the National Museum of African American History where it's like aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the U.S., rugged individualism, having an intact family, the scientific method, work ethic, being on time. So are you saying that black people don't do those things? I find that pretty offensive, to be honest. I mean, are these not, like, literally like the same age-old stereotypes that are against, people of color that, like, oh, they don't show up on time, they don't work, etc. But now it's a good thing, apparently. Yeah, Time magazine, of course, also wrote an article a while back about how exercise in the United States is white supremacist. Well, I show up on time and I exercise. Guess I'm a white supremacist. Wah. Yeah, I feel like this is going to backfire really bad very soon, if it hasn't started already. Tony Gilbert asks, hey Larsen, do you hunt? No, I don't. I fish on occasion. Hey, Stream D says, I'm in Chicago and the immigrants be doing crime all the time. Yes, so they do. Bill Slankovich says, there's no AC at the Olympics. Viva la France. Tony Gilbert says, Europe is a lot of places that don't have air conditioning. Yeah, so I've heard. I don't know why Europe is so vehemently against air conditioning. I mean, I used to not have air conditioning myself, but I was poor, so, I don't want to cast aspersions upon our European friends. There's nothing wrong with opening a window, of course, but sometimes air conditioning is good. Sometimes it's so hot, the window doesn't really help anything. But yeah, it really does kind of amuse me how this assumption that, like, people of color can't show up on time, and also, like, all persons of color are, like, the same people with the same cultures and ideas and opinions. That is wildly racist, more so than an actual racist would say. I mean, Tony Gilbert says in Europe they don't have the power that we have electric wise, and crap is expensive over there. Tony Gilbert says he fishes a lot too. Robert Diaz says this is bad as Coke's Be Less White training. Yes, yes, it is. These are very stupid opinions, and people who feel them, people who say them, should feel bad. Let's see. Do we have any more serious news to talk about? Uh, no, I do not. Let's get to the silly side of things, as if the state of reality isn't just absolute clown world to begin with. Anyway, from discussing film Twitter on July 7th, the Tuah Girl is closing a deal to star in a reality series about her life. Why is this happening? Okay, so a Twitter comment says it best. Remember that episode of The Simpsons where Bart knocks over a bunch of shit on the Krusty show and says, "I didn't do it," which skyrockets him to fame, and then he immediately loses it after 15 minutes? Yeah, it's a little bit like that. I mean, I guess after the first episode of the Spinning on Cox show is over, she'll have to, say wuzzle wuzzle or bucka bucka to try to keep interest. Yeah, it's, I don't know. This woman didn't exactly seem like a genius to me, but I feel like even she's going to get tired of doing this one thing eventually. Say the line, Haley. I didn't do it. Yay. I'm really starting to reconsider the idea of IQ tests for voting. Oh, wait, no, I'm not reconsidering. I've always felt that you should have at least an average IQ to be able to vote. Boy, sometimes I just want to run down the street and just punch everybody I see. This is one of those times. And it's funny, like when I kind of jotted this down in my notes for things to talk about, I just labeled it as Hawk. And for a brief second, I saw that link and I thought, like, oh, Road Warrior Hawk is doing something. But he's not. He's long, long dead. Okay. Ponythroat says, Tony Gilbert says, unless you are the UK, which has a power grid that runs at twice the voltage of USA, but has no air conditioning. Dave Slankovich says, my student won the 800 meter. Good luck to her. Well, congratulations to her in the Olympics. Tony Gilbert says, that girl's in a TV show. Sad face. Yes, it is. I mean, is it going to be like a porn live stream? Like, I feel like that would be in character at least. I mean, I've seen it said that like a lot of people are very wary about what they say in public, in fear of it getting. Sorry, in fear of it getting TikToked or whatever, and getting 15 minutes of fame for a stupid reason. But apparently, some people don't care. Apparently, some people just want to slobber on wieners and they get famous for it. And yeah, pretty soon we're gonna have Barney Gumble on the Hawk 2, hotline. Yeah, you gotta slobber on that thing. Jeez, I can't do that voice. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that girl's just like sick of this shit already. It's like, oh boy, I sure messed up on this one. This is gonna follow me around for the rest of my life. Anyway, this is all gonna end with her trying to do wuzzle wuzzle. It will fail, and then she'll end up working the box factory, just like they said on The Simpsons. Yes, I'm very upset about this whole affair too, Tony. But on the other hand, maybe she's smarter than we think. Maybe she realizes this is not going to last that long. She's just going to squeeze every dollar from this stone of failure and shame to the extent that she has her 15 minutes. And if that's the case, good for her. I mean, what I'm hoping is she'll be sensible about this and she will just fade off into the distance after her 15 minutes is up. I mean, granted, she doesn't seem like the most sensible person in the world, but let's see what she does. Anyway, moving on from somebody who got 15 minutes of fame for bad reasons and somebody who needs to get fame again. Andy Merrill, early Adult Swim cartoon impresario, voice of Brak and other things. That's from the Brak and Zorak show, not the original Space Ghost. He's apparently delivering Amazon now. And he had a Twitter post where he got bitten by a dog. It's kind of coincidence because I got bitten by a dog too just a couple minutes ago. Of course, the dog we are watching is a little Cavapoo. And this seems like a big dog. Andy says, hooray, big dogs, hooray. Can somebody give me a better fucking job? So yeah, this guy, he worked on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the Brak show, did a bunch of Adult Swim stuff, and Cartoon Network just threw him to the curb and basically gave him nothing. He gets no royalties or anything, and he's delivering Amazon now. Of course, people are all yelling at him because, like, the Brak show is an offensive depiction of mentally challenged people. I mean, was it really? We can't make fun of, like, wacky, stupid people anymore. But yeah, breaking news, networks are shit. The people who run networks are shit. And they cast creatives out to the curb. Like pieces of shit. They always have, and they always will. Now, granted, I haven't seen the Brak show in decades, but there was some pretty funny shit when I was in middle school. I mean, Shinseki Evans says, if she gets rich, Saud is interested in the Hawk Tea, then she's set for life. Is that really a life, though? To have to fly out to Saudi Arabia and have, like, Sheik your booty and his boys, like, running trains on you? I know they make big money for debasing themselves, getting Hassan chopped all up and down the goddamn, yurt. Yeah, I know yurts are Mongolian. I couldn't think of the name of the tents. But yeah, that's not a life worth living to me. Dave Slankovich says, a thing moo. Yes. Tony Gilbert says, oh, damn, that sucks. Cartoon Network did close their studio. All people out of work in Atlanta. Yes, as Johnny Bravo would put it, burn down Atlanta. Thank you, Tiny General Sherman. You're correct. Yeah, speaking of, Johnny B, what has Van Partibly done in the past 20 years? Sheen D says that sucks. Yes, it does. I mean, I personally hate to see creatives thrown to the curb. I mean, granted, not like anything I've ever created got a particularly huge amount of money for it, but, I get my little royalties here and there, and I'm happy to get it. But yeah, I would hate if I made something super successful and I just got kicked in the ass over it. So remember, kids, always get a piece of the gross, not the net. The net is fantasy. Freakazoid said it best. Okay, Ponythroat says, all this insta-slatterns explain why the Burj Khalifa is connected to the sewer system. Well, yeah, I mean, this, Sheik Your Booty and Hassan just dumping on the, whatever hookers they hire to fly out there for the weekend. The term Dubai porta potty exists for a reason. Okay, moving on from that. Yeah, let's talk about Gladiator 2. It looks like dog shit. Um, it's not even the fact that like Denzel Washington's playing the Algerian Emperor of Rome. I don't mind. He's a great actor, but just like it doesn't look good. Like, why did Gladiator 2 need to exist? Like, was the story not told well enough in the first one? And of course, they have shitty, rap music in the trailer because, of course, they do. I mean, all modern rap is garbage. I would not have done this personally. Like I said, I think they should have gone with Nick Cave's idea for Gladiator 2, in which Maximus goes to hell and he gets resurrected in every war in human history and becomes like an American general by the end of it. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. But, is it still better than this? Yeah, probably. I think people are noticing, like, what exactly is the deal with Pedro Pascal? They're just kind of putting him everywhere nowadays. I mean, he's a decent actor, but is he like some great leading man? I mean, not particularly. They're just kind of putting him in everything now. Would that I could be some flavor of the month actor that gets put in everything. But alas, that is not for me. Okay. Tony Gilbert says that Adam Merrill was a producer on a few shows like Samurai Jack. Yeah, I didn't know that, so he was. Yeah, speaking of Tartakovsky, I evangelized Primal to everybody I can, because Primal was outstanding. Ponythroat says they bring back the word slattern. Yes, we should bring back the word slattern. He also says the worst part is apparently these Dubai oil sheiks, they enjoy burning coal for some reason. Well, I mean, it's hardly out of character for an Arab oil sheik to utilize black women as sex objects. Also, I believe it's called oil drilling when the woman is black. Thank you very much. Tony Gilbert says they don't need to make another movie. Cash grabs don't always work. I mean, they shouldn't, but sometimes they do. The new Hellboy's going to be ass too. Yeah, probably. He also says he hasn't seen a good movie in a long time. I saw the new Quiet Place in theaters. It was okay. Ponythroat says it's better than the new Lord of the Rings movie they have coming out. Wait, they're making a new Lord of the Rings movie. I thought it was just that Rings of Power garbage show. I don't know why they have to make a new Lord of the Rings movie. I mean, the original trilogy is basically perfect. And yeah, it was basically perfect for cinematic purposes, fanboys. Tom Bombadil was not necessary. I will I will fight that until my dying day. Tom Bombadil did not need to be in the Jackson trilogy. But yeah, just like I talked about last week, there's a mad rush to retro video games. There's gonna be a mad rush to old movies too, because the new stuff is garbage. Yeah, probably won't be seeing the new Gladiator. I mean, yeah, like let's what do we need for music? Yeah, let's replace Hans Zimmer with fucking Ice Spice. And like Playboy Cardi and like all these people I vaguely know exist. I'm 33 years old and I'm already extremely old mentally. Shinseki Evans says Gollum the movie I heard. It's The Hunt for Gollum based on one paragraph and starring Viggo Mortensen, who is now as old as Gandalf was in the first one. Yes. I'm sure they'll de-age him. I'm sure they'll have some like elf girl boss humiliate Aragorn. Tony Gilbert says, yeah, they're making a Gollum movie because Tolkien's kids are gone. Well, he has like distant, grandkids and relations who sold out his franchise to Amazon. I mean, if you want to make like a Lord of the Rings movie about some shit that was not really touched upon in the old movies, I mean, why not do like a scouring of the Shire movie? I feel like that wouldn't go over well because the scouring of the Shire might be construed as fascist because it's like you've got Saruman's like multi-racial coalition of ruffians and orcs being killed by like the the rustic rural hobbit farmers. That wouldn't go over well. Or do like the Silmarillion or something, or some said Tristan and Isolde. Uh, Luthien and Beryl is what I was trying to say. Yeah, I won't be watching that. Just like I won't be watching the Rings of Power show. I haven't seen a second of Rings of Power, and I don't plan on it. And finally, in pop culture news, all the freshest news from apparently 2 years ago, I learned recently on the Twitters that during this is some professional wrestling news for people who want to tune out now. So apparently, during it was either SummerSlam 2022 or 2023, actress Kat Dennings, best known for Two Broke Girls in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, live tweeted, "Oh no, I think I might be falling in love with WWE." Her fandom that was burgeoning for professional wrestling was then soon immediately ruined by a bunch of nerds screaming at her as like, "No, that's sports entertainment. It's not real wrestling. Got to watch AEW. It's the pure wrestling." They were like literally yelling at her to order like PWG tapes and watch like Japanese wrestling. And yeah, Ms. Dennings has not tweeted about wrestling since. That's brilliant. Absolutely horrendous. You had like, hey, here's a famous celebrity who, if I may sound like a pig, has absolutely ginormous Khazar milkers, might I add. And she's getting into your fandom. Let's turn her off completely by yelling at her about some gatekeeping horseshit. Now, bear in mind, of course, that I have spoken out in favor of gatekeeping in the past, but let me clarify what I mean. When I say gatekeeping is good, I mean like you should gatekeep from like fake fans who want to turn everything into a homoerotic farce. Speaking of the Lord of the Rings and many, many, many other franchises. But this is not that. This is somebody who is genuinely getting into it, and they turned her off by some purity spiraling horseshit. Yeah, it was basically like this picture here, except, wait, it hasn't come up yet. Okay. Tony Gilbert says they should make a Morgoth movie. That would be the bomb. Literally anything would be better than this, like, Hunt for Gollum thing. Like, how much can you get? How much material can you get from that? Ponythroat says the scouring of the Shire was stupid. Imagine defeating Sauron. Now the real final boss is Saruman conspiring with the Sackvilles Bagginses to squat at Frodo's house. Well, I mean, wasn't that kind of the point thematically? It was supposed to be the sort of like, winding down, mopping up exercise. It was supposed to represent, like, if the Shire represents a sort of idealized English countryside, then, the scouring of the Shire is sort of removing, industrialism and ugliness from that idealized countryside. It was to show that, other hobbitses, not just Frodo and Sam, could be, brave heroes as well. But yeah, this picture, it was exactly like this, except just imagine Kat Dennings instead of a guy with a mustache and his children. Yeah, so for those of you who are not fans of wrestling, allow me to give you a brief rundown of what the hell I'm talking about. The WWE is the biggest wrestling company in the world, but there are other companies, many other companies. The number two in the country right now is AEW, All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling allegedly claims to be about more of a sports-based presentation. The fundamental philosophical divide in wrestling is between what's called pure wrestling versus sports entertainment. pure wrestling is about, it's like your presentation is more about, athletics and real competition. Sports entertainment is more about, characters and theatrics and razzmatazz. There's cases to be made for both. WWE is more about the razzmatazz, the sports entertainment, and AEW ostensibly is more about the pure wrestling. So, you can certainly have your opinions about which is better or not. But the point is, these smelly neckbeards basically bully this woman out of being a wrestling fan by yelling at her to watch, real wrestling instead of WWE. Tony Gilbert says Kat Dennings, she's good, but her husband, Andrew WK, is awesome. Oh, I didn't know she was married to him. Baron and Luthien would be a good movie too, says Tony Gilbert. Ponythroat says, The Scouring of the Shire, the stakes have never been lower. Imagine getting your ass whooped by hobbits, ha ha ha, says Tony Gilbert. I mean, you get 2 or 3 hobbits together, they could fuck some shit up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Saruman ultimately get, one-shotted by, not even, one of the main hobbits, just, some guy? I gotta look that up right now before I start talking about wrestling some more. Okay, the Scouring of the Shire. Oh, I'm sorry. Wormtongue, Grimo Wormtongue killed Saruman, and then Wormtongue got one-shotted by a crossbow. Saruman technically was not dead. Being a Maiar, he was banned from going back to the halls of Valinor, so he was basically cursed to wander the earth forever as a listless spirit with no powers or nothing. Ponythroat says, the icon in the bottom right of that image, does that mean it was Fifth used the snipping tool on? Well, I did use the snipping tool, yes. But that image was in the original image I got from Twitter. But yeah, this happened. Famous celebrity woman gets into wrestling. Nerds bully her out of liking wrestling. Yeah, here's some quotes. Kat Dennings, oh no, I think I love at WWE. Bunch of nerds. That's disappointing. If you like wrestling, check out AEW. Please give AEW a shot. Watch AEW, it's better. Kat, you need to watch Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada from NJPW. It's better. Go watch NJPW. Go watch AEW. Go watch anything else. Watch AEW. You'll never go back. Just AEW. Just fucking embarrassing. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, I'm a huge nerd myself, and in general, and I'm a wrestling fan as well. But yeah, wrestling fans are even by nerd standards, they're pretty repugnant. Like, I could not imagine what it's like being approached by all these smelly nerds yelling at you to watch something different in the same genre, the same medium, I should say. Yeah, congratulations, AEW fan. You killed a potential fan. Actually, you're not a real fan unless you're watching old AWA broadcasts from ESPN Classic from the 70s. Hey, Shinseki Evans says, Dr. Ruth has died. Must have been the Heritage Foundation that took her out. Perhaps. Tony Gilbert says one of the Brandy Bucks killed him, I think. Yeah, the Wikipedia article didn't say. It just said he was killed by a crossbow bolt. Tony Gilbert, referring to the wrestling thing, says that's messed up. Some people just want to ruin stuff for other people. It sucks when it happens. Yes. Saruman, says Ponythroat, Saruman was a Captain Planet-esque villain, a literal allegory for smokestacks bad, trees good. Environmentalist shtick. I mean, to be fair, trees are better than smokestacks, in my opinion. But yeah, why are we talking about Lord of the Rings? Should we be talking about wrestling and how AEW Marks, you know, ruined a celebrity being a fan of wrestling? And you know, the thing about this is like, I could totally see this exact scenario being an episode of Two Broke Girls if you know, the show wasn't canceled years before that event happened. I could just see it now. The whole diner goes to a wrestling show. A bunch of nerds start harassing Max about, you know, being a real wrestling fans. Wedgies all around. And then, you know, humana pseudo lesbian antics between the two female leads. You know, typical episode. Tony Gilbert says a Captain Planet movie would be fire too. I mean, would it though? Maybe if it was like a robot chicken Captain Planet, like Ted Turner just painting himself blue and punching people in the face. I mean, that would be fire. Anyway, that does it for my prepared remarks. If you want to say your last pieces, you can do it now. AL says he has something to add. Well, speak, sir. What do you have to say? Extreme D says I had a good stream. Thank you. Just waiting for Mr. AL to say what he has to say. Tony Gilbert says Larsen should find the pink man and challenge him to a fight for leaving YouTube. Yeah, I mean, you know, he has a right to do what he did. I don't really care that much. Hey, AL, I'm still waiting on what you have to say. I'm only going to wait for another couple of minutes and I got to head out of here. All right, so I'm gonna head out of here. So for Larson Halleck, this has been Larson Halleck. All of you have a good day.